Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a dramatic and meticulously timed strike that's shaking up energy markets, military logistics, and the broader strategic landscape of the Russia-Ukraine war. We're talking about the Ukrainian bombing of a critical Crimea port terminal, which came right after Russia reportedly filled it with nearly $16 billion worth of oil and fuel. This wasn't just another random airstrike. It was a calculated operation that combined military intelligence, economic warfare, and precision firepower. In today's video, we'll break down what happened, why it matters, how Ukraine pulled it off, and what ripple effects this attack might have on Russia's economy and the global energy stage. Let's start with the basics of what went down. According to multiple Ukrainian and Western intelligence sources, Ukraine launched an airstrike on a major port terminal in Russian-occupied Crimea just hours after Russian tankers and logistics vessels offloaded massive quantities of oil and fuel into the facility. The port, whose name has not been officially confirmed due to operational secrecy, was reportedly stocked with reserves worth an estimated $16 billion. Intended to power Russian military operations in the south and Crimea, as well as civilian and naval logistics across the Black Sea region. Then, in a bold and precise move, Ukrainian forces struck the facility with several high-powered 560-kilogram guided bombs. These are no ordinary munitions. These bombs are large, devastating, and equipped with guidance systems that allow them to strike within a few meters of their intended target, ensuring maximum destruction. Footage from the attack shows massive fireballs lighting up the night sky, followed by thick black smoke rising from the fuel depot and surrounding port infrastructure. What makes this even more remarkable is the timing. Ukraine waited. They knew, or were informed, that Russia was in the process of offloading oil and fuel at the terminal. And instead of hitting it prematurely, they waited for the facility to be fully stocked before launching their strike. This wasn't just a tactical decision. It was economic warfare at its most precise. Destroying the facility when it was empty would have been a military win. But destroying it when it was full, when billions of dollars in fuel, reserves were sitting there, turned it into a strategic and financial catastrophe for Russia. It's important to understand why such a facility matters so much. In a conventional war, fuel is everything. It powers tanks, aircraft, naval vessels, trucks, generators, and even field hospitals. A single port terminal stocked with billions in oil can keep an entire regional war effort running. By targeting this facility, Ukraine wasn't just destroying a stockpile, they were choking off a lifeline to Russian operations in Crimea and possibly beyond. Now, let's talk about how Ukraine was able to pull off such a precision strike deep in Russian-held territory. First, intelligence played a huge role. Ukraine likely had eyes on the port for weeks, maybe even months. This could have included satellite imagery, intercepted communications, drone reconnaissance, and even on-the-ground informants. It's also likely that Western allies provided high-level surveillance data. NATO satellite assets and ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, drones are known to share intelligence with Ukrainian forces, often in real time. Second, the choice of munitions shows a growing capability within Ukraine's arsenal. The 560-kilogram bombs used in the strike are believed to be guided by Western or domestically adapted targeting systems. These weapons allow Ukrainian pilots or drones to launch the bomb from a standoff distance, meaning they don't need to fly directly over the heavily defended port. Instead, the bombs are released from miles away, guided by GPS or laser, and still land with pinpoint accuracy. This reduces risk to pilots and increases operational success. Third, timing coordination was key. The operation was clearly based on actionable intelligence about the fuel delivery schedule. Hitting the terminal right after it had been filled ensured that the financial impact would be maximized and also disrupted any immediate Russian plans to use that fuel. It's a classic example of asymmetric warfare, using fewer resources to deliver maximum strategic impact. So, what does this mean for Russia? First, the loss of $16 billion in oil is a direct financial blow. Even if we assume that some of that figure includes long-term projected value, it's still an enormous loss in real-world fuel, infrastructure, and logistical planning. Replacing that volume of fuel, under wartime conditions and with international sanctions in place, is not a small task. Supply lines will have to be rerouted, and future deliveries will require more protection, which in turn stretches Russian resources thinner. Second, the destruction of the terminal affects military momentum. Russia's ability to launch or sustain large-scale operations from Crimea now becomes more difficult. Every tank, ship, or aircraft that runs on fuel now has to rely on alternate sources. That could delay future offensives or force Russia to take more risks in resupplying forces by land or through contested routes. Third, and perhaps most damaging, is the psychological impact. This strike sends a powerful message that Ukraine can reach deep into occupied territory, gather intelligence over time, and strike with surgical precision. It undermines Russian morale and fuels the perception that Ukraine remains on the offensive, even when facing a larger military. For Russian commanders, it creates a sense of insecurity. If Ukraine can hit a major port so accurately and at the worst possible time, what else might be vulnerable? For Ukraine, this is not just a military win, but also a PR and strategic victory. It shows not only that they can fight back, but that they can fight smart. In a war where resources are limited, these types of high-efficiency strikes are what give Ukraine an edge. They're not aiming to outgun Russia. They're aiming to outmaneuver them. And this operation is a textbook case of that doctrine in action. Internationally, the strike also increases pressure on Russia. Allies of Ukraine see this as further justification for continuing military aid and intelligence support. Every successful Ukrainian strike using Western-enabled precision tools is a showcase of the effectiveness of international cooperation. And for countries still sitting on the fence, perhaps hesitant to provide weapons or surveillance support, this may serve as a clear example of how such support translates into real-world impact on the battlefield. Of course, we should also talk about the environmental and humanitarian side. The destruction of an oil depot carries ecological consequences. Smoke, fuel leaks, and chemical fires can pose risks to surrounding civilian areas and wildlife. While the primary goal was military and economic disruption, the aftermath will require environmental monitoring. So far, there have been no confirmed reports of civilian casualties, which suggests Ukraine either waited until the area was clear or used precision timing to minimize harm beyond the target. As for Russia's response, we can expect both retaliation and increased security at similar facilities. More air defenses, tighter surveillance, and possibly even decoy infrastructure to throw off future attacks. But these measures are reactive, not preventive. Ukraine has shown that it can outwait and outplan, which keeps Russia on the back foot. To wrap things up, Ukraine's strike on the $16 billion oil-filled terminal in Crimea represents a masterclass in modern warfare. A blend of intelligence, timing, precision weaponry, and strategic patience. It's a loud, fiery reminder that the war isn't just about front lines and firefights. It's about supply chains, timing, and targeting the enemy where it hurts the most. This operation may not end the war, but it could seriously alter the pace and capabilities of Russian forces in the months ahead. Thanks for staying with us through this detailed breakdown. If you found this analysis insightful, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our future deep dives. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Russia will be able to quickly replace that lost fuel? Or is Ukraine gaining a long-term upper hand in this conflict? Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, and keep watching the details that shape the bigger picture.